Title: Scientist hopes cactus plant may help treat anxiety and depression. Dr. Liam Engels, a communication scientist from Emu Plains, Sydney, has been studying the San Pedro cactus plant for its psychoactive substance, mescaline. Although illegal to consume, Dr. Engels aims to use mescaline to treat anxiety, post-traumatic stress disorder, and depression. In February, the Therapeutic Goods Administration approved the use of psilocybin and MDMA as treatments for PTSD. Dr. Engels hopes mescaline can receive similar medical approval. His research analyzed over 260,000 anecdotal reports of drug use on an online forum and is advocating for more research on psychedelic plant treatment. Action for Alice founder hits pause, with mental, emotional toll unsustainable. Darren Clarke, founder of the Action for Alice Facebook page, is taking a break from the social media platform due to the mental and emotional toll it has taken on him. The Facebook page has accumulated over 70,000 followers since its start in 2020, with its focus on crime issues in Alice Springs. Mr. Clarke states that the page was taking up 50 hours per week and that he was getting only 2 hours of sleep a night at the height of the media frenzy. Despite the negative impact the page may have on tourism, Mr. Clarke believes that he has had an effect, and it is the government's responsibility to address the underlying issues in Alice Springs. Inquiry to probe undergrounding of thousands of kilometres of renewable energy power lines. A parliamentary committee in New South Wales has been tasked to conduct an inquiry into the feasibility of undergrounding high-voltage transmission lines as the state moves forward with renewable energy transition projects. The 9-week inquiry will look into the cost and environmental impact of undergrounding the power lines, whether it would delay project timeframes, and examine local and international case studies where it is effective. The inquiry will also assess whether putting the lines underground would work for critical transmission projects. Regional communities have been vocal about their concerns over the power lines and are eager to see the inquiry's findings. Bullying culture claims trigger independent review at SA Forensic Mental Health Facility. South Australia Health has announced an independent review of James Nash House after allegations of a dire culture of bullying towards workers at the Forensic Mental Health Facility were raised by concerned staff. The letter alleged that a bullying culture and unprofessional behaviour by certain staff within a local health network have driven away much-needed experienced workers from the secure facility. Marie Geraghty, the chief executive of Northern Adelaide Local Health Network, revealed that a scope of review has been developed to address concerns of quality and safety of care at the facility along with cultural issues. WA Premier rules out any delay, as opposition to WA's new Aboriginal Cultural Heritage Law intensifies. Opposition to looming reforms of Western Australia's Aboriginal Cultural Heritage Act has intensified, with the state's pastoral industry lobby calling for the government's legislation to be scrapped entirely. The government is adamant the rollout of the Act, which seeks to modernise the state's cultural heritage laws, will not be delayed, and has dismissed objections as scaremongering. The rapid rollout and uncertainty around key parts of the new regulations has led farmers, mining groups and other regional residents to call for the 6-month delay. But further north in the Pilbara, Yindjibarndi Aboriginal Corporation Chief Executive Michael Woodley said the laws provided traditional owners with a critical say. Title: PwC engaged in calculated breach of trust, but parliamentary committee won't release list of staff involved in tax leaks. A parliamentary inquiry report has found that consulting firm PwC engaged in a calculated breach of trust by monetizing confidential federal government information. The Treasury sought the firm's input as it shaped new laws targeting multinational tax avoidance, which PwC later used to help its clients work around the laws. However, the committee has not publicly released a list of people who sent or received emails containing confidential information within the firm. PwC has been under fire for months over the matter, and the report recommends that the firm publish further details about those involved in the situation. Cracking down on price gouging and longer plans, what's changing for the NDIS? The National Disability Insurance Scheme (NDIS) is set to undergo changes in the next 12 months that will allow participants more control over the length of their plans. Longer plans would mean fewer plan reviews, reducing administrative bureaucracy and cutting costs for participants. The government is also cracking down on price gouging, with the consumer watchdog examining ways to make it illegal. The government's goal is to reduce NDIS spending by $15.3 billion over the next 4 years and make the scheme more efficient. The changes are designed to improve the lives of participants by reducing unnecessary bureaucracy. Ford to cut 400 jobs, Geelong workers hit hard. Car manufacturer, Ford, is set to axe about 22% of its Australian workforce, with 400 jobs to be cut in the coming months. The majority affected will be product development and design roles, with Geelong workers hit the hardest. Although the redundancies are voluntary, it is still disheartening news, says the Australian Manufacturing Workers Union (AMWU). In March, Ford announced plans to shed 250 jobs in Geelong and Broadmeadows. The cuts are part of Ford's global drive to improve efficiency and transform operations to meet future needs. The move follows plans to cut 3,800 jobs in European sites over the next 3 years. 3 climate activists arrested in Brisbane as protests cause peak-hour traffic havoc. 3 climate activists were arrested after blockading a busy Brisbane motorway during peak-hour traffic. The Port of Brisbane motorway was brought to a halt, and one protester had to be cut free by police chained between 2 vehicles. Since the beginning of the National Climate Action 3 days ago, 5 people have been arrested in Brisbane. Bridget Slattery, a member of Blockade Australia, said the protest was a response to inaction on the climate crisis. The Queensland Trucking Association urged drivers to be patient and let the law take its course, while warning truck drivers' earnings are on the line. More than 40 women dead, most burnt to death in Honduras prison riot. A prison riot in Honduras has left 41 women dead and 7 injured. The country's president, Xiomara Castro, has blamed street gangs who wield power inside the prison for the attack. Videos released by the government show that pistols, machetes and other bladed weapons were found after the riot. The brawl is thought to have broken out between members of rival gangs Barrio 18 and Mara Salvatrucha. Prisoners from Barrio 18 reportedly burst into a cell block and shot or set fire to other inmates. The riot is the worst female detention center tragedy in Central America since 2017. Fighting surges in Sudan's capital as 3-day ceasefire expires. Sudan's capital has been rocked by heavy fighting between rival military factions as a 72-hour ceasefire ended with multiple reports of violations. Witnesses reported clashes in the 3 cities that make up the wider capital around the Nile, along with airstrikes, artillery fire, and ground fighting. The conflict between Sudan's army and the paramilitary Rapid Support Forces has been ongoing for more than 2 months, with more than 2.5 million people forced to flee their homes. The fight began after a coup in 2021, with further disputes over plans to transition away from military rule. Saudi Arabia and the US had brokered several ceasefire deals, but critics have questioned their effectiveness. Source: Uganda's military rescues students abducted by Islamist fighters. The Ugandan military has successfully rescued 3 of the 6 students kidnapped by Islamist fighters at the Lubirira Secondary School in Impondwe, Uganda. The Allied Democratic Forces (ADF), a group linked to the Islamic State, stormed the school and massacred 42 people, mostly young students. The ADF has carried out several attacks in Uganda, including bombings at police stations and parliament buildings. The rescued students and a woman with 2 children were abducted outside the school, 2 militants were killed, and 2 guns were captured during the rescue operation. The ADF operates in the jungles of eastern Congo and has been blamed for civilian killings over the past 2 decades.